Hello friends, welcome back to the shop. Today is Sunday, January 21st, and it's warming up quite a bit warmer. It's in the 40s today, and yesterday as well. So the snow that we got recently is pretty much gone, and the dogs are covered in mud. It's just the circle of life, I suppose. So having a great weekend so far. I hope you all are as well. This morning I'm going to be smoking this pipe that I actually got from a friend just a bit before Christmas. This is a Brigham Chinook number 29, which I'm assuming is a shade. I don't know very much about Brigham pipes. It's a beautiful pipe. You know, it appears to be well made. The problem with it so far, and I've smoked this maybe 3 times. It's got this thing going on, and I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's some sort of a filter system. I know Brigham has some rock maple filter or something like that. I don't use filters. I don't care to use them. But this is unfortunate because it's occluding the draw quite a bit. And this, when it inserts into the pipe, it's the majority of the airway there. So really this is, it's a very nice bowl, and I think the drilling on it is really good. But this thing, whatever it is screwing everything up. And there's not a filter in there. I checked. It's passes a pipe cleaner with no problem. The airway is clear. There's nothing in there. It's just very tight draw on the stem. So I'm thinking about, before I put it, I'm thinking about just taking it over to the bandsaw and reducing this. If any of you guys are Brigham smokers and you have some suggestions, I'd love to hear them. But I'm going to be smoking it today, and in the Brigham I'm going to be smoking some more of this Cornell & Diehl Burley Flake number 1. This is excellent stuff. I'm not going to talk much about it today because I've got something else planned, but it really is some good quality burley tobacco. A little bit of Perique in there, and I think there's a tiny bit of Red Virginia as well, and it's just a wonderful blend. I highly recommend it. And maybe if this tin lasts me until next week, maybe I'll do an impressions video, although I'm getting kind of low here, although I'm sure I'll be buying some more. So got the pipe loaded up. Let me get this lit, and we'll move on to the main event for today. So today I am going to be doing a VR, video response, for my friend Ali, the Great American Duck Piper. And I say my friend I say that about many of you, and it's true. But Ali is one of the few YTPC folks that I've actually met in person and shared some tobacco with, and he truly is a wonderful guy. I really enjoy his videos. And I greatly appreciate his friendship. He's someone that I talk to relatively regularly. I'm not the kind of guy that calls somebody on the phone every night or anything like that. I think many of us are just kind of introverted and happy to stay to ourselves, and this YouTube thing is an outlet for us. But Ali's a good guy. I do get to talk to him pretty frequently, and like I said, I really enjoy his channel. When his videos pop up, he's one of the people that I just say, oh good, I'm going to have a good smoke tonight, and watch that video. So if you don't know the Great American Duck Piper, I will link above and below to his channel. Please check him out, subscribe him. He's well worth your time. Now, I'm going to do a VR for his gosh, I'm sorry, I forgot to check what the giveaway was. I think it's a 200 sub. Oh no, it's a 2-year anniversary on the Y2PC. I think that's right. If it's wrong, I'll correct it below. Giveaway, and he's got some very nice prizes. Definitely take a look at that video, which I will link. And he asks us to answer 5 questions. Now, I want to say at the outset, Ali, that I'm doing this to support your channel, and because I think the questions are really interesting. I don't want to be entered in the contest. I've been more than blessed from my time in the Y2PC with both contest wins and just friendships and everything else. And while I really appreciate and understand the giveaways, and I have them myself, I just would really rather just participate and support the channel, but you can keep me out of the drawing. So Ali asked 5 questions, and at the beginning he asked if we could recommend a channel that has relatively new, under 100 subs. And fortunately, I have a channel that I've been wanting to shout out for a couple of weeks now and just haven't had the time, so this works out perfectly. There's a channel called Pipes Etc., and I will link that again above and below. Pipes Etc., it's Pipes period etc, Pipes comma et. I'll look below for the link, but it's etc. Very interesting channel. He only has a few videos up right now. He's clearly put a lot of thought into how he wants to make his videos. He's thinking about what he's going to say in each one, and trying to sort of set up a format for his channel that, at least at this moment, and he's still, I think, working through the details of it, but right now it looks different, and it's interesting. He's clearly very well versed in tobacco. He's got a video on his top 5 tobaccos, which was great. He really was able to talk through those blends, and clearly knows what he's talking about. His other videos are just as interesting, and he's a baseball fan, so how can you go wrong? So check out Pipes Etc. I'll link above and below for him. Now on to the 5 questions that Ali asked. And Ali, these are all really great questions. Some of them are a bit self-indulgent, but some of them are I think, just it's interesting to watch everyone's response to these. So I'm enjoying this this contest greatly as I watch everybody else's VRs. And by self-indulgent, I meant self-indulgent for me answering them, not self-indulgent for Ali. That would be a weird contest. Okay, so question number 1. What got you into the pipe smoking hobby? Well, I think I've talked about several of these questions before, but that's okay. I don't mind repeating myself. What got me into the pipe smoking hobby obviously was walking. When I was younger, I walked a lot. I still do, but I used to. That was my primary means of travel. So growing up in Philadelphia, it was pretty easy to get just about anywhere walking. Philadelphia is a very logically laid out city. It's on a grid, and you can get from point A to point B pretty easy. And as a kid, I'd rather save the whatever it was, 35 cents or whatever that I would spend on a bus, and use that to help get me into the movie that I was going to see, rather than sit on a bus and go to the movie theater. So I always have walked, and when I moved to Pittsburgh, I also walked back and forth from the university where I was working to where I was living, and that was about a mile. So pretty much every day I had maybe 45 minutes to myself. It was often late at night. It was often after the buses were running anyway. The buses stopped running, and yeah, it was nice, quiet time. It allowed me to decompress after working all day, and I enjoyed the time. Now, before I moved to Pittsburgh, when I was in college, I was I dabbled in smoking. I actually smoked more cigars than anything, but occasionally, I think, I know I had a corncob pipe at one point. I think I might have had a Dr. Graybo as well. I don't really remember, but those were things that I, would occasionally smoke as I walked around the city. But cigars were, and by the way, I wasn't smoking anything good. It was White Owls and things like that I would get at the 7-Eleven or the gas station. But it, was something that occupied me while I was walking, and that's kind of a recurring theme. When I was in Pittsburgh and doing that walk every night, I would often take the bus in the morning because I had to be there at a certain time, and then I'd work until I was ready to fall asleep. I was working in a lab, and I pretty much set my own hours, but we had classes and meetings in the morning, so that was a problem. I had to be there at a certain time. So pretty much every evening I would walk back, and the cigars were great. And there was a cigar shop. Well, it was a newsstand that had actually a very nice humidor for a newsstand. And I would stop there and get a cigar, which were not yet ridiculously expensive. So a graduate student could actually afford to buy one every day. And I would walk home and smoke the cigar. Now, the problem was that, Pittsburgh has some pretty brutal winters, and if it was 3 feet of snow or something, I didn't walk home in blizzards, but I did walk home a lot when it was cold. And when it's cold, smoking a cigar just doesn't work for me. I mean, you got to have a hand out and everything, but the idea of having a pipe hanging from my mouth and trudging along, that seemed pretty appealing, and so I went back to pipes and picked up my first pipe, which was the first pipe of this period of my life, which was definitely a Dr. Graybo. I got it at a what I believe was a Rite Aid drugstore, and the rest is pipe smoking history, at least personal pipe smoking history, and that's how I got into the hobby. Now, the second question is very closely related to that one, and that is, what was the first blend that I enjoyed, and why was it enjoyable? So, I think I told this story before as well. When I bought that first Graybo, I picked up a pouch of Captain Black, the white pouch, and that's what I smoked for a long time. It suited me fine. It was a couple of years actually that that's what I smoked. Now, I did experiment, and I've talked about this in the past, with all the different drugstore blends, just trying them out. But I always seemed to go back to Captain Black. It was familiar. It was what I was comfortable with. Burley at that time didn't work well for me. I didn't, a lot of people say that they have a problem with it chemically, that it burns them. I didn't have any tongue bite from or anything. I just wasn't pulling out the flavor, because I was smoking this very heavy Captain Black, and the Burley just wasn't, it was kind of light and mild to me. So while I smoked a lot of those things, I didn't really learn to appreciate them until much, much later. But the Captain Black was always there, and was kind of my go-to. And then one day I wandered into the Colonial Tobacco Shop, or Colonial Smoke Shop, something like that, in Squirrel Hill. And I've told this story several times. There was this wonderful older woman, probably in her late 60s, sitting behind the counter with a corncob pipe in her mouth. And I just walked in, and it was like walking into another world. I'd never seen a woman smoking a pipe, and it just was, it was a shock. And she, very quickly was very suspicious of me, and I told her I wanted to just look at the tobacco, and she asked me if I knew about tobaccos, and she was the first person that really explained tobacco to me, and she explained it in her worldview, and her worldview, I later found out, was wrong, but it was very informative at the time for me. She asked me what I smoked, and I told her Captain Black, and she made a face and told me that she sold real tobacco or something to that effect. And she explained to me that there were two types of tobacco. There was English and aromatic. And that was it. That was the dividing line in her world. And she talked about the aromatic in a very disparaging way. And so she left me to look at the English, and after a short time of me not knowing what to do, she suggested that I buy Number 10 Downing Street. And I think there were a couple of others that I bought, but Number 10 Downing Street was the one that she suggested. And that was just an eye-opening smoke for me. If you don't know the blend, it's no longer made. It was a Lane product, a light. It was a light English, so Latakia, Virginia Latakia, but also it had some white Burley in it and black Cavendish, and it was just this satisfying, smooth, mellow, smoky, leathery, wonderful thing, and I loved it. I lit that pipe up and walked home and thought, well, I'm never going to smoke anything but this again. And for a long time that was the case, but that tobacco for me was a transformative experience and really started me on my understanding of tobaccos that I have today. So I thank that dear lady. I don't know what's become of her. Surely she's passed on, but she was a great help to me, and I really appreciate the kindness that she showed. Okay, question number 3. What blends do you tend to lean towards? Well, if you've watched me for any length of time, you know that I'm a fan of Burley, and I'm smoking C&D Burley right now. I've said many times that Carter Hall is my go-to, and the reason for that is not that I think Carter Hall is this magnificent tobacco. It's reliable, it's consistent, it's readily available, and it comes in big tubs, so I can have it around. And a lot of times I'm smoking in the shop or when I'm walking or whatever, and it's just not something that I'm sitting back savoring every puff. And Carter Hall just is great for that. But boy, Cornell and Diehl makes some wonderful Burley blends, and I think that those are some of the best tobaccos in the world. So yeah, Burley, and in particular Cornell and Diehl Burleys. I particularly like the Burleys with a bit of Perique in them. Or there's a few Burley blends that are Burley Latakia with some black Cavendish that I like quite a bit. So yeah, that's it, Burley. Number 4, and this is where they start to get really good. What has pipe smoking brought into your life? Boy, Ali, this is a great question, and it's one that I can't say there's one thing that pipe smoking has brought into my life. I really can't, because it's when I thought about this was the reason I wanted to do this VR when I saw this question, because there's so much it's brought into my life, and really it's funny because when people find out I'm a pipe smoker, I get one of 2 reactions usually. Well, I guess one of 3. One is, "Oh, me too. Isn't that great?" That's pretty rare. Probably the most common, and the one that I find funny, is people say, well, they still make pipes. There are actually people out there that don't understand how that pipe tobacco is even an available commodity. And the third one, of course, is you're going to kill yourself, which, I appreciate their concern. And I calmly explain to the latter group that that's not the case, that, there are actually quite a few health benefits. To the middle group, I tell them that, yes, in fact, you can still buy pipes and pipe tobacco. And to the first group, I offer to have a smoke with them. So, when I deal with those other people, the majority of people, it's so obvious to me that they don't realize the richness that this little device can bring to someone's life. It gives me time to think. It gives me time to relax. It gives me an excuse to pause during conversation, which is quite valuable. See, I just used that. It gives me a hobby, and for me, it's an even more extensive hobby. You know, for guys that are just pipe smokers and they enjoy that and they maintain their pipes and they seek out new tobaccos, that's a lifelong hobby that's going to make you, you know, happy for a good portion of your life, and that's fantastic. For me, I get to delve into the history of the pipes. I get to delve into their construction and repair them, and you know, it just, I'm constantly able to be thinking about things like how the airway is constructed and what I can do to fix this without destroying that original intent. And it's just fascinating, and I love it. And that's made me very, very happy over many years now. It's also brought friendship, and I don't just mean the friends here on the YTPC, but you know, in other places. It's had me interact with people that I normally wouldn't, like that woman in Pittsburgh, who, you know, I never would have met that woman. And I had I don't want to say that we became good friends or anything. I never even knew her name, but we had several conversations over the years that I lived there that were quite helpful. She actually sold me this lighter, and I cherish it because of that memory. It's brought me friends, real friends, like Ali and many others, and I'm not going to list them. And then it's brought me friends in the sense of the YTPC, so all of you, which I greatly appreciate. It's given me an opportunity to sit here every Sunday morning and babble on and vent myself and get a little bit of psychological help just by being able to make these videos. And that's really wonderful. But the thing that I find most important, and well, I shouldn't say most important, but certainly one of the things that I most value about pipe smoking is that it gives me a connection to the past. You know, I've always, and I think a lot of us are like this, I've always felt like I would have been happier in the past. Sometimes the modern world just moves a little too fast for me. And I like to do things with my hands, and that's often frowned upon in the modern world. I like to be out in nature, and nature is harder and harder to find in the modern world. Of course, I'd probably die in 5 minutes if I were transported back into the 1700s or even the 1800s, because I'm dependent upon modern technology. But this is a device that's been around for a very long time, and that it gives me that connection to the past. And again, when I get to work on pipes, especially the older pipes, you know, I've had the privilege of working on pipes that were made in the 1800s. That's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful feeling. And again, it just connects you to those craftsmen of the past, to the pipe smokers of the past. So that, I think, is what I value most about this hobby, is that connection to the past. And then number 2 would be all the wonderful friendships and interactions that I've had over the years with people. Question number 5. And this one was tough for me. This was a very tricky question, Ali. If you could change something about the world, what would it be and why? So, my first thought when I heard this question was, boy, there's so many things I don't even know where to begin. And I thought about it a lot. I've watched some other VRs, and there's been some fantastic answers. And you know, I don't mean to say predictable, but they're the kind of things you would expect people would want to change. So, you know, bring peace to the world and end war, cure diseases, get the FDA off our backs. These are all good, noble causes, and sure, yeah, I'd love any of those. But when I think about it for myself, and I start to think about the implications of changing things. We don't always know what they are. There's the fact that Newton taught us that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. And we've all seen enough science fiction movies where you go into the past and change something and that screws up the present. So what would a world without war look like? I don't know. Maybe it would be a wonderful thing. Maybe it would be a terribly boring place where everybody agreed with me and there was never an opportunity to exchange ideas and debate on a subject. What would a world without disease look like? I hope better. I think better. But, it's part of the natural course of life. We live, we grow old, we die. There's a sense of a plan in that, and sometimes that comes earlier, sometimes it comes later. But it seems to be part of a design, and myself being someone that does believe in God and that does believe that God has got a plan for me, I worry about interfering with that plan because I don't understand it. I'll never understand it. I can't comprehend the mind of God. So I know I'm getting rather much more deeply philosophical than Ali probably wanted here. But after thinking about this for a couple of weeks, I'm afraid that my answer is nothing. I would be too worried about the implications of the change. So, sorry if that's a cop-out, Ali, but that's the best answer I can come up with. At least the most honest answer I can come up with. So thank you. Those are the 5 questions. I really enjoyed this this contest. And I'm looking forward to watching additional video responses to Ali's contest. Again, I'll link him above and below. I'll also link Pipes Etc. above and below. He's relatively new. He's only got a few videos. Go over there and welcome him into the YTPC. So, I know this is running very long. I just wanted to give a quick update on the potential YTPC meetup at the New York Pipe Club show on March 10th. It looks like that's no longer potential, but is actually going to happen. There's been enough interest in that I think we can pull it off. So it's no longer potential. There is going to be a meetup. If you stuck with me to this point and you're hearing this and you're one of the people that's going to be there and you'd like to get in touch with me just to start to talk about logistics, I'd really appreciate it if somebody could step forward to do that, because I don't want to plan this all by myself. I mean, there's not that much to plan. It's not going to be a lot of work. But I don't want to be deciding in a vacuum that we're going to meet at whatever time, whatever place. So please, somebody, several people, whoever, get in touch with me. Use my email. Go through my website. Go to my About page. My email is there. My email is canerodpiper@gmail.com. And again, it's on the About page, and it's at canerodpipes.com. So I'll keep you updated as things develop. We've got still quite a few weeks until March 10th, but I'm really looking forward to seeing as many of you as can make it. So with that, I've got a fairly busy day planned. Got to do some shopping. Got some work I want to do down here in the shop, and then this evening I need to watch the Eagles knock out the Vikings. Go Eagles. So I hope you all have a great Sunday and a fantastic week ahead. And until we speak again, I will look forward to talking to you all again very soon. Goodbye now.